open a business magazine or turn on the news. There's always this consistent script playing out.
The story of the winner.
Exactly. The highlight reel. It's all about individual grit, personal merit,
Yeah.
sheer willpower. We're sort of conditioned to believe the winners won just because they were better.
Or worked harder. Right.
But have you ever really paused to think about the invisible structure that a single success is built on? I mean, the sheer amount of effort and failure beneath it.
The legions of people who followed the exact same path.
The same blueprint, same effort, and yet they failed.
Yeah.
Often catastrophically.
And that's where our deep dive is headed today.
Our source material for this one, it doesn't just critique that narrative, it really challenges our entire system of recognition. It argues for honor vanquished.
Honor to the vanquished.
Honor to the vanquished.
Right. And our mission here is to look past that individual winner and examine the systemic cost of success. The core idea is that society kind of acts like a spotlight. It picks a few winners, and in doing that, it completely hides the huge majority who followed the same route but just got erased. We're talking about a complete lack of recognition for all those unknowns.
Okay, let's unpack that, because there's a statistic in this material that's, well, it's pretty foundational to the whole argument.
It's staggering.
The author suggests that in almost every domain, art, business, politics, high-level sports, the proportion of those who fail, the vanquished, is consistently around 90%.
90%. And it's so pervasive, the source notes, it seems like a law of nature.
That forces you to redefine success, doesn't it?
It has to. If success is the exception, not the rule, even when the inputs like talent and effort are the same, you have to look past the individual.
I mean, if 9 out of 10 startups fail, are those 9 founders just less talented?
The source says that idea is deeply flawed. And it gives a really powerful example to ground this.
Nelson Mandela. He's recognized globally, and rightly so, as this icon of determination, of courage, the ultimate triumph. His personal merit is, it's non-negotiable.
Of course. But the source immediately forces us to look beyond that spotlight. While we celebrate Mandela, the singular figurehead, we just forget the thousands of others.
The ones on Robben Island with him or fighting alongside him?
Exactly. The analysis suggests that maybe 90% of his companions just disappeared. They ended up dead or imprisoned for life without any recognition or just faded away.
And this is where the critique gets really provocative. The author suggests some of these unknowns, the ones erased from the history books, might have been more heroic than the winner.
It's a challenging idea. It's a challenge to how we define heroism.
So what's the logic there?
Well, the thinking is that maybe the ultimate winner, through persistence or political skill or just sheer luck, they got the historical reward, the fame, the presidency. But what about those who sacrificed everything, knowing they would never get that recognition, whose quiet suffering never made a headline? The source argues that that might be a higher form of heroism.
Following the same path, taking the same risk, but for zero historical return.
Precisely.
Wow. That is a staggering implication. It completely reframes how we think about it. We just assume effort and outcome are perfectly aligned for successful people.
But this suggests they're just the lucky 1 in 10, the one who made it through a system that's designed to chew up and discard everyone else.
And that discarding brings us to the next point, the critique of how society recognizes achievement in the first place.
Yeah.
If success is built on 90% failure, what's the value of that supporting structure?
Exactly. Our society has this unwavering, almost pathological preference for only rewarding the winners.
But you can't have a winner without them.
You can't. If you remove that foundational 90%, the competition, the early ideas, the sacrificial investment, the winner's victory becomes, well, meaningless. It needs the vanquished to even be defined.
So the source uses this brilliant ecological analogy. It says to imagine a huge, vibrant forest.
Right.
And we as humans decide, you know what, we're only going to conserve the most beautiful, the biggest, the most magnificent redwood trees.
And on the surface, that sounds prudent, right? Conserve resources. But if you apply that same thinking socially, only recognizing the CEOs, the leaders, the famous artists, the author calls that approach.
Not very ecological.
Yeah.
And very unjust.
Yes.
So why not ecological?
Yes.
That's the part that's fascinating.
Because a forest is a holistic system.
Yeah.
A system. Those giant redwoods, they rely on everything else. The smaller trees, the underbrush, the microbial life, the root systems of their neighbors.
Okay, I see the parallel.
So apply that to, say, the corporate world. The giant unicorn startup relies on thousands of failed prototypes, supportive companies, the mid-level managers who built infrastructure, the early employees who burned out. If you only reward that top 1%, the quality of the whole ecosystem starts to degrade. It encourages this hyper-competitive short-term focus where all that supportive foundational effort is never valued.
And you see that playing out daily. The promotion cycle, the VC funding cycle.
Yeah.
We conserve the big trees, the founders and senior partners, and ignore the health of the rest of the career forest. Let's shift gears a little to art and pure talent. This is where you'd think individual merit would reign supreme. But the source argues someone like Mozart didn't just appear in a vacuum.
Not at all. The source argues Mozart was preceded by dozens, perhaps hundreds of proto-Mozarts. And these weren't untalented people.
They were critical players.
Absolutely. They evolved the musical language, they built the instruments, they established the frameworks that made Mozart's genius even possible. They paved the way.
And there's a specific, really poignant example given. The sons of Johann Sebastian Bach.
Yes. C.P.E. Bach. J.C. Bach. I mean, these were men of immense, undeniable talent, genuine genius in some cases. But the source points out they only achieved mitigated notoriety.
Famous in their time, but not giants of history.
Exactly. And the reason, according to the source, had nothing to do with a lack of talent or effort or confidence.
It was timing.
It was a structural accident of history. They arrived during what the author calls a very ungrateful, pivotal era. They were stuck.
Stuck how?
Stuck between their father's massive late Baroque style and the emerging lighter classical style of Mozart and Haydn. They were too early for the new, too late for the old. Pioneers in a transition that history just didn't reward.
Imagine that. Being incredibly talented, giving it everything, and losing just because you were born 30 years too early.
Or too late.
It completely moves failure from being a personal shortcoming to just
Yeah.
an external accident, like being a master of flash coding right before Apple killed it.
That's a great modern analogy. It reminds you we're all subject to these currents of history, no matter how hard we paddle.
So we've looked at politics, social structures, the arts, and this 90% rule, this huge unrewarded effort. It seems to be everywhere. It's endemic.
And that's where the source tries to find some kind of explanation. It cycles through these profound, almost philosophical reasons for why outcomes are so disconnected from input.
The first two feel almost fatalistic. If it's not talent or effort, the author asks, is it simply destiny? Are the outcomes just pre-written?
Or maybe, and this is a great phrase from the original, is it just un coup de dés?
A roll of the dice.
Our roll of the dice, which suggests success is just random. You can be the most dedicated, most talented person, but if the dice roll of the market or the political climate isn't in your favor, your effort is negated.
That really strips meritocracy of its certainty.
It does. And that leads to the third most challenging idea, which ties back to that critique of recognition.
The idea that the problem is us.
Basically, yes. Is the problem a profound lack of recognition on our part for what has merit, regardless of the results? If the system is broken, maybe the fault is ours, the observers.
So if we choose to only define merit by the final headline result,
then we're ignoring the vast majority of high-quality, necessary effort. If we could shift society to value the quality of the struggle, the ingenuity, the courage, the dedication, regardless of whether it ended in a huge payday or a famous painting, then maybe that 90% wouldn't feel like failures.
that would require a total cultural overhaul. Right now, history only prints the names of the winners.
And that brings us to the source's final, powerful, emotional conclusion. It doesn't offer a policy solution. It just expresses this deep, almost physical sorrow. It's a deep sadness. It's mourning for wasted potential, for unrecognized sacrifice.
And that sadness, really, is the emotional cost we pay for worshiping this simplified, meritocratic winner's journey. A true understanding of any success story means acknowledging that we are, literally, standing on a pyramid of failures, built by the often tragic investment of the forgotten 90%. So we'll leave you with a thought to mull over. If you look at your own professional world, your own career path, what fundamental shifts might happen if we truly measured merit, not just by the final result, the promotion, the headline, but by the quality of the effort and struggle itself? Irrespective of whatever ungrateful pivotal era you happen to find yourself in, we thank you for sharing your sources and participating in this deep dive.